Hello, everybody, at least on a conference call. I hope everybody is safe and healthy and your whole families are the same. Very interesting times that we're living in, and hopefully we can see everybody in person this fall. Contrary to your thinking, we did not plan the timing of this announcement to mess up the first couple of days of your vacation. I appreciate that everybody's off with their families and we're able to pause for a few minutes and dial in and listen to this press call today. You saw our release earlier today. This has been a long planned transition of ownership from Mrs. Ford to Mrs. Hamp. As you've heard me say in prior statements and interviews, there's been a long-standing plan to keep the Lions within the Ford family, and this is just the next step in that plan. I just want to personally, on behalf of the organization and myself, thank Mrs. Ford for her years of leadership and support of the organization and me personally. She's done a wonderful job, and I think one of the key components of being a great leader is planning for a great succession, and that's what we're talking about today. I'd like to talk a little bit about Mrs. Hamp before I turn it over to her. You know, she's Mrs. Ford's daughter. She's grown up with the Lions, been part of her life, her entire life. She's been a vice chairman for the last 6 years. As you know, she's been very active, not only with the team, but with the NFL, attending ownership meetings, joining league committees, getting to know the league professionals, executives, and other owners. You'll find her, I think, to be very committed, very smart, very personal, and completely ready for this opportunity to lead the organization. And I'm thrilled to be working with her and for her. So with that, I'm going to turn the call over to Mrs. Sheila Hamp, who's going to have a few opening comments, then we'll open it up for questions. Sheila?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Rod, so much for that really nice introduction. And thank you all for attending this press conference. As Rod said, I wish I could see you and greet you personally, but hopefully we'll be able to do that sometime pretty soon. But in the meantime, thank you very much for calling in. I understand that a lot of you are on vacation, and so I really appreciate your taking the time. To start, as Rod mentioned, I'd like to make a brief statement, and then I'll open up for questions. To begin, I'd like to acknowledge my mother and her terrific leadership over the past 6.5 years. She's been a wonderful leader of this team, a role model for me, as well as a terrific teacher and mentor. I realize I have big, little shoes to fill. I'd also like to recognize my 2 sisters and my brother for their past and future contributions as vice chairman and their participation in board meetings and attendance at games. This truly has been and will continue to be a family endeavor. And to the entire Lions organization, I want to say that I'm very excited about my new role, and I look forward to getting to know the organization and staff more fully. I'm very pleased and excited about the progress we've made, and I think we're on a good path. Although I know I have things to learn about the organization, I feel like I'm well prepared for this new role. I've attended Lions board meetings and every game for the past 6.5 years. In fact, as Rod mentioned, I've been attending Lions games since I was a little girl. I've gotten to know well many of the key leaders in the Lions organization. I've been by my mother's side for many major decisions, and I've attended and participated in NFL league meetings for the past 4 years. I'm currently a member of the league's Fan Engagement and Special Events Committee. Through my committee work and attendance at league meetings, I've developed relationships with other owners and the leadership for the league, which is something I look forward to continuing. Of course, I want to acknowledge that these are indeed very challenging times. Between the COVID-19 pandemic and the current civil unrest around racial injustice, these are indeed unprecedented times. I am extremely proud, however, of how our team has been navigating this difficult off-season. As an organization, we support our players and coaches' efforts to bring social justice issues to the forefront, and we will continue to support them and work for positive change. These are conversations I know Coach Patricia has had with our team over the last several weeks, and I look forward to engaging, learning, and most importantly, listening as we strive forward as a team. And as in any period of enormous uncertainty, we are planning all sorts of scenarios. Our goal is to keep the Lions organization safe and healthy while we prepare to play football this fall. And to our staff who have worked remotely to prepare for this 2020 season, I want to thank you for your continued hard work. Our expectations for our team are the same as we discussed at the end of last season. We think we have a competitive team, and we're excited about the players we've added through free agency and the draft. We're also pleased with the new additions to our coaching staff, including defensive coordinator Corey Undlin and special teams coordinator Braden Coombs. And before I close, I'd like to thank our loyal Lions fans. It is my goal and intent to bring them the winning football team on the field that they deserve. Thank you very much, and now I'll be happy to take some questions.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Thank you, Mrs. Hamp. We will start with Mike O'Hara for first question.
Sheila, can I still call you Sheila? Is that okay?
You sure can, Mike.
That's because I'm older than you are. Hey, Sheila, and you really touched on this, but you've been going to games, Tiger Stadium as a little kid, but more recently you've had, really an up close, front row view of management and ownership. I just wonder, what of those experiences, how they formed in you the type of ownership style you plan to have, whether hands-on or whatever it would be. And I've got another question when you get done with this.
Sure. Thank you, Mike. Yes, it's the last, yes, I have been going to games forever, way back to Briggs Stadium, and been a huge fan and, supporter of the Lions my entire life. But you're right, the last 6.5 years, my mother's side, I've learned a ton. And she's really been an incredible role model for me. She's been hands-on, she's tough, she's smart, she's gracious. And so I intend to emulate a lot of those things and hopefully put my own stamp on things. I definitely plan to be hands-on and learn as much as I can about the organization and be involved in a lot of ways.
And very briefly, you alluded to this in your comments, but you participated in that discussion last year about the coaching staff, that you wanted meaningful games in December and expected them to be a playoff contender. I know that COVID-19 may change things in the next minute. We don't know, but have you seen enough in the off season? And you talked about the additions that they can in fact satisfy that mandate that was last year.
Well, as you said, I think this is going to be a weird year for sure. Nobody knows what to expect because everything changes minute by minute. We're planning on a season. We're planning on, training camp. We're planning on starting on time. But, who knows? This pandemic is unprecedented and crazy, and, things change all the time. I do feel like, that we've made some progress in the off season. I've not seen any of the players because all the meetings have been virtual. And, obviously nobody's been on the field yet. So, but I on paper, I'm very pleased with our draft and free agency. And I know Coach Patricia is very pleased with the meetings he's had, and it looks like the group is very cohesive. And, these difficult social justice conversations have actually helped to bond the team. So I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody in action. And yes, we expect an improved team, and I think we're going to get that.
Thanks, Sheila.
Okay, Dave Burkett.
Hey, Dave, how are you?
Sheila, how are you? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, yours too. Two things, and I apologize if Rod touched this. My audio went out for a minute, but just what prompted the decision right now at this stage, of the year, I guess?
Well, it was really my mother's decision. She's totally fine and healthy, by the way. I want to get that out there for sure. I just think, we kind of thought this would be a good time because there's no football right now. So rather than sort of make a switch, closer to the season or once things got underway, this seemed like a good time to do it. And, it gives me, 6 weeks or so to get some mileage under my belt before training camp opens. So, situated and figure out kind of exactly how I'm going to try to do this job.
Right. And then number two, as you said, you've sort of been an understudy, I guess, for this job for the past, 5 or 6 years. Can you give me some examples of maybe something specific that you learned, a setting that you were in that helped get you ready for this, and just how the past, 5 years have prepared you to be an owner of an NFL team?
Well, as you said, I've been an understudy to my mother, which has been incredible. And just really watching and learning and, getting to know the staff and watching my mother in action at meetings and how she conducts herself. And, even at the NFL meetings, which, at first you walk into those big rooms with those big black leather chairs and they're kind of daunting, but you get over it. And, and she did, and showed me kind of how to do it. And, say not be afraid, but not be intimidated. And, it's been a wonderful experience. I feel so grateful that I've had this time with her. I mean, who gets to do that with their mother? I mean, it's pretty amazing. So anyway, I've learned a lot, and I admire her style, and, as they say, plan to put my own stamp on things. But I plan to be, very hands-on, and, one of my first things I want to do is set up with Rod some meetings of other parts of the organization that I really don't know that well. So I really want to take a deep dive and understand the whole thing.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Next, we'll go Tim Twentyman, DetroitLions.com.
Oh, hi, Tim. How are you?
Hello, Mrs. Hamp. How are you? Congratulations.
Fine, thank you. Thank you so much.
You mentioned it in your opening comments, but you've been very active at the league level for a number of years now. And, with the appointment to the Super Bowl and Events Committee most recently, I'm just curious, do you plan to be as equally involved, or maybe even more so involved now as chairman and principal owner?
Yes, I plan to be quite involved. Actually, I was tapped for that committee. I didn't ask for it. And I imagine now that I actually am the principal owner, I, will probably be even more involved. But, I've been going to meetings and, talking to people and meeting other owners and a lot of the leaders of the league. And I've made a lot of nice relationships. I've gotten a lot of nice letters and notes today from people. So yes, I plan to stay quite involved, and I got a nice call from the commissioner, and so yes, I plan to stay quite involved with the league.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Michael Rothstein at ESPN.
Hi, Michael. Nice to hear your voice again too.
Yeah, congratulations, and thanks for doing this. I have a couple questions for you. First,
sure.
is you just said that you want to put your own stamp on things. What is it maybe that you do want to change from what you've seen in the organization thus far? And then when you're done with that, I have a second question.
Well, as I say, I know obviously the key leaders of the organization. I want to take a deeper dive into the organization, as I said, so I can really know and understand. I don't have a particular agenda in mind of changes. I just want to understand and know better, and then be able to make better informed decisions on my own about, if things need to be done or changed. But I don't have, I don't have a hit list or anything right now. So I want to be a learner to begin with.
And a few years ago, because you were involved with the organization at that point in time, when players were kneeling to protest social injustice, the Lions seemed to say, hey, we will give you guys money if you all don't kneel. What is your policy as far as players protesting, be it this year and going forward, on the field before games?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the understanding is completely different now. I mean, I think people, most people really understand what the kneeling was all about. I know that, the commissioner has said, and I completely agree, that we support our players' right to peaceful protest. We support the First Amendment. So I think this is really finally, thank goodness, gotten national attention, that this is a serious problem, and we as an organization plan to listen to our players and support them any way we can.
Okay, next we'll have Carlos Menares, Detroit Free Press.
Hello,
Hi,
Carlos.
Sheila. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. Following up on that question a little bit, will you support players and coaches who choose to kneel during the national anthem? And would you and the Ford family, your mother, your sisters, your brother, would you guys also take part in kneeling during the national anthem when the games begin?
Well, I can't speak for my mother or my brother or sisters right now, but we're not down on the field when the game begins. So, I will be watching from the stands, and that's where we are. As I say, we support our players' right to peaceful protest. And so however that comes out, and peaceful is the key word. So, we won't be kneeling on the field, no, but we would support them.
And just a follow-up, Colin Kaepernick has obviously been the sort of launch point of this whole discussion in social justice. What would be your feeling if the Lions, the coaches, general manager, if they decided to pursue Colin Kaepernick as a free agent? Would you be in favor of that? What would be your opinion on that?
Well, if our coaches and our general manager all thought it was a good idea to bring him in, I would completely support that.
Okay, next we'll have Mike Stone, 97.1.
Hi, Sheila. Congratulations. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Hi, Mike.
Two questions. You've been with this team, obviously, your whole life. You know the record. The perception of the family is this team, the family wants to win, maybe doesn't know how to win, maybe doesn't need to win. When the Lions lose games, do you get as upset as we do as fans? Does it burn you? Do you lose sleep? And because I think the fans want to make sure the owner is for lack of a better term, upset and as passionate as the fans are. And I can ask a second question when you're done with that one.
Okay. Yes, I can absolutely guarantee you that for myself and my family, we are very upset when we lose. There's nothing that makes us more upset, so we are trying our best to change this win-loss record. I do think, as I mentioned in my comments, we're on a good path. I think hopefully, we'll have a season that makes sense, because of COVID. But I think, we've got some really good leadership and had some really good additions. But I can guarantee you, nobody hates to lose more than me and my family, and that's for sure.
And finally, will you be more accessible to the media and the fans than your parents were in the past? Well,
I'll do, things from time to time for sure. Happy to talk. I'm not sure I'm looking for a career in television or radio. So it'll be, as we go. I'll see how it is. But yes, I will talk to the media at times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Larry Lage, Associated Press.
Hello, Larry.
Yeah, hi. I was trying to give you a chance to say hello first. I want
sorry.
to share with us the significance to you having this be a transition from female to a female.
Well, I think it's pretty awesome, actually. My mother really broke the ground for me. And I think it's, I look around the NFL and actually, there are quite a few women owners now. So it's changed a lot. I mean, when I graduated from college, all I wanted to do was go work for the NFL. And at the time, Pete Rozelle was the commissioner, and he was a friend of mine, actually, because I had attended so many events with my father and ended up sitting next to him at a couple dinners. And we were, we communicated and, but I went to see him, and he literally could not think of anything for a female to do way back then. And so things have changed a lot, and I think it's terrific. I'm excited, and as I say, I look around, the league, and there are quite a few women owners now, which is great.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go Bob Winowski, Detroit News.
Sheila, how are you? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem. I'm curious, you mentioned, obviously, try your best to change what the one-loss record has been. You've been around all of these years. Can you assess in a snapshot what has gone wrong, do you think? Why hasn't it been a consistently winning organization? Do you have a pulse of that and how you can change it?
Well, I think, for one thing, a winning organization, there's a lot of consistency. And you've got to get the right mix of people, and then I think stay with it. I mean, you look at a team like the Patriots, and, that's what they've got. So I think, there have been a lot of changes over the years with the Lions, and, this and that. But we haven't been able to yet reach that magic formula. But I'm hoping that this year, Coach Patricia will be in his third year, and hopefully things will start to gel. And, as I say, I think we've got a really competitive team, and I just hope we get to play football.
If I could ask a quick follow-up, it's sort of been unclear exactly what the be in contention into December suggestion or mandate was. I mean, is this sort of, in your mind, a more aggressive win or else mandate for Quinn and Patricia, or how would you describe it now that you're completely in charge?
Well, again, as I say, I think this is going to be a kind of a weird year. But, so I don't want to, say anything about wins and losses. I think the overarching thing is that we want to see, major improvement. And at this point, I can't really say what those specific measures are going to be, because I don't know what the season's going to be like yet. But believe me, major improvement is the goal.
Thank you.
Okay, we have time for 4 more questions, starting with Justin Rose, Channel 7.
Hi, Sheila. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Justin?
I'm doing well. Hey, just kind of a general question to start. How would you describe your leadership, tactics? Are you let the people below you make sure that they're doing their jobs, or are you more of a overseer, type? Because just to get started, because I'm just wondering if you're going to be more aggressive as far as decision making from the top.
Well, I plan to be involved. I plan to, as I keep saying, learn more about the organization. I don't plan to meddle, but I plan to be informed enough so that I can make, good decisions at the top.
So off of that, will the buck stop with you with decision making by Bob and Matt and Rod?
Pretty much, yes. I mean, I have, my mother is, we have a board, as my 2 sisters and my brother and my mother. So, any major decisions will totally be discussed with all of them. And we're all in constant, touch about things, and we discuss and come together with conclusions. But I guess, the buck has to stop somewhere. So I guess it's me. But with the help and discussion of my siblings and my mother.
So in other words, we shouldn't necessarily see a drastic change in the leadership because of the time you've spent with your mother during her time and now just taking over.
Well, you know what? I've I've been on this job for about 4 hours now, so I think what I do will evolve. And as I say, I don't have a specific agenda but my main objective is to be a learner and understand, and then hopefully make intelligent decisions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Ben Fisher, Sports Business Journal.
Hi, Sheila.
Hello,
Thanks
Ben.
for taking. Hello, Sheila. Thanks
Sure.
for taking the time. Congratulations. Good to meet
Thank you.
verbally
You
at
too.
least. In regard to league business and league meetings in particular, how do you anticipate your approach to those matters differing from your mother's? And also, other than the Fan Engagement Major Events Committee, what other particular parts of league business do you have a special interest in that you might like to take on a bigger role in?
Well, there's lots of different committees. I don't want to really mention because usually, it's a league decision. They kind of pick you. But I will have conversations within the league about some of the committees that I'm interested in if I want to, get involved more deeply. Your question was, could you repeat the first part of your question again about league decisions or whatever you said?
Right. Whether you or how you might anticipate your approach to league decisions and league meetings and your discussions with the other 31 owners to differ from how your mother has approached that work over the last 6 years.
Well, the way the league meetings work is, we get agendas ahead of time. There's usually voting matters, as you know. And a lot of times, if there's a controversial voting matter, there will certainly be discussion among the owners, before the meeting starts. So, that's kind of what my mother did and proceeded with. And, I plan to make my own decisions about how to vote. But, I consult with Rod Wood too, or Bob Quinn, or Coach Patricia, if there are rule changes, and, get a lot of input, and then hopefully make an informed decision.
Okay, thanks for that. So with the committees, I'd understand that you don't want to jump the commissioner's prerogative to create those committees, but even without mentioning a particular committee, are there broad elements of league business that you think you would be particularly well suited to take on a greater role in?
Well, I'm actually interested in almost all aspects of the league business, so I would be happy to be tapped to do a number of things. But I really don't want to get into specifics because in case things turned out differently.
Great, thanks. We'll see you soon in one of those meetings eventually if we all get to start having in-person meetings again.
Yeah.
Okay, our last two questions will go Jeff Rieger, 97.1, then Jamie Edmonds of Channel 4.
Hey, Sheila, how you doing? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I just had two quick questions. Number one, was it you or was it your mother that thought it would be best to keep Quinn and Patricia? And I know you said you wanted to see major changes, but was that more your call or more her call or kind of a joint effort?
That was definitely a joint effort, and with my siblings. So it was definitely a joint decision.
Okay, and the second question, as my dog is barking, I'm sorry. Just my second question is, just do you have a message to the fan base? Bounty, please. The fan base obviously blames ownership a lot for why things have gone wrong. Do you have a message to the fans? You say you want major changes. Is there more Super Bowls, championships? Just, I guess, what would your message be to the fans that come to see
message is that, I'm going to do everything in my power to create a winning organization, and especially on the field. The fans deserve it. The city deserves it. And, I am a very competitive person. I grew up playing competitive tennis, and it's an individual sport, and me out there by myself, and boy, I hated to lose. So I still hate to lose. So I guess that's my message to the fans. I'll hate to lose as much as they do, and I'll try not to.
Okay, last question, Jamie Edmonds.
Hi, actually Larry took my first question about the female aspect because obviously I just love that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
My second question then would be about, this is a new generation now of Ford leadership. So how might that be different? I mean, you have different life experiences than your mother, your dad. So what might you bring to the table that's different in this new generation of leadership?
Well, for one thing, I can do a Zoom call. I'm just kidding. But no, well, you know, I think that, you know, how I develop as a leader, it's going to evolve. My mother was, you know, wonderful, gracious. So was my dad. You know, maybe I'll be a little more hands-on. You know, maybe I'll be a little bit more involved with some of the younger staff. You know, I'd like to learn way more about our analytics team, for instance. I know they're excellent, but, you know, I kind of want to get briefed on what they do. So, I mean, I think there'll be things that I may dive into a little more deeply than my mother or my father would have. But, you know, and we'll see how the leadership develops from there.